Discussions in this show should not be construed as specific recommendations or investment advice. Always consult with your investment professional before making important investment decisions. And now, Financial Renaissance with the M's.
Good morning, financial knowledge seekers. Happy New Year! We are five days into the new year. And it is freezing here in Atlanta. Literally, it's probably about 32 degrees. Couldn't wear my UGG boots this morning because those are sub-freezing conditions that I need to wear those. But listen, I hope you are ready for some exciting and knowledgeable information, financial information this morning. We are going to be talking about all types of cool things. So if you're looking at retiring this year or know someone who's retiring this year, you want to wake them up. You want to make sure you share the show with them. Go ahead and give them a call, tell them to watch. So if you're 10 years out from retiring, 5 years out from retiring, a year, if you're retiring this year or 3 months from now, I'm going to give you tips on things that you need to do. And then we're going to discuss some debt crushing strategies. If you have a lot of debt or you have debt and you're looking at ways of getting rid of it, eradicating it, we're going to talk about different methods that you can use based on your personality type to get rid of that debt. And then also, one of the things that always happens every new year is taxes, right? Taxes go up. Our deductions, we get different deductions, things of that nature. So I'll be telling you the things that you need to think about or know about for 2020 as far as the new tax law. And then we're going to have some budget busters that you need to be leery of this year. Okay, there are things that we do every day, every week that can totally blow up our budget. So I'll be telling you some of those things that you need to look for. And then most importantly, I'll be talking about New Year's resolutions and why, from a financial standpoint, I am adamantly against it. So if you have any comments, any questions, go ahead and drop it in the comment section. You can listen to the show if you're like heading out the door. You can on your phone, you can just go to tune in. You can look for Sensation Station Network, and you can listen to the show when you're on your way to brunch, on your way to church, et cetera, while you're sitting in traffic. And then also, if you are on Facebook, you can watch us live, the show, live stream of the show on Sensation Station Network. You just go from Facebook, go to Sensation Station Network, hit like, and then you can see the show. It should pop up right there. And then you can also listen to the show at ssnatl.com. That's right. We've got a great, oh my gosh, I'm so excited about all this stuff that's happening this year. More importantly, I guess our country is in the middle of a pre-war. So there are going to be some things that you need to be thinking about and stuff that you need to do with your budget and your money to make sure that you're prepared for what may happen if our country ends up in I think it's a third war, because I believe we're in Iraq. That's not really a war. We're in Afghanistan. That's a quasi-war. And then we just bombed somebody in Iran, or an Iranian in Iraq, which is going to cause all types of problems. And we may be feeling it at the gas pumps this year as a result of it. So you definitely want to come back and tune in for that. And if you have any questions, we got a question earlier today from a young person that wanted to know, why is it that homes cost more in certain neighborhoods? So I'll be breaking down that question as to why are some homes worth $1.5 million in one neighborhood, but only $600,000, say, in another neighborhood. So I'll address that when we come back on Financial Renaissance with the M's. And we are back with Financial Renaissance with the M's. You are listening to us live on ssnatl.com. You can also go to sensationstationnetwork.com and listen to the show. And again, you can go to facebook.com/NotDumbedDown, and you can watch what's happening live in the studio. And if you are watching live on my Facebook stream, you can go ahead and jump over to the Sensation Station Network page or my M&O's Money page, and you can watch the show as well. And if you're traveling, you can just do the TuneIn app on your phone or your device, and you can listen to the show. If you have questions or comments and you don't want them on social media, you can go ahead and text us at 678-613-5857. And now it's time for one of my favorite parts of the show, my top 5 news stories of the week. All right. JP Morgan Chase is planning to ban fintech apps from using customer passwords to access your bank account. So what are fintech apps? So think about the financial simplicity apps that you use, things like Mint. There's a whole Acorn. There's a whole bunch of apps that will take everything that you have. It'll show you your net worth. It'll show you, all the bank accounts you have, your 401ks, all your retirement accounts. It'll show you, all the investment accounts that you have, everything in one consolidated place so that you can see what your net worth is. Well, Chase Bank is saying that, hey, maybe we shouldn't be, logging in with our username and passwords on these sites. Not all of them. Some of them are protected. But again, we as humans, we don't really read all the privacy stuff. So about 4 years ago, Jamie Dimon, who is the CEO of JP Morgan Chase, voiced his concerns about using third-party financial stuff for selling. They think that they're going to be maybe selling or trading customer information in ways that we may not fully understand. Again, it's because we don't, read privacy statements. So what he's looking at doing is using tokens. So you'll have to log into a site, then you'll have something on your phone. It'll ask for a token, and that way you can authenticate. So I think that that's a win for us, the consumers, and we're going to see a lot of other banks and other financial institutions doing the same exact thing. So be on the lookout for that. All right. Second up is the United States consumer confidence actually dipped in December. That's right. This past Tuesday, the conference board notified us that consumer confidence declined marginally in December following a slight improvement this past November. While consumers' assessment of current conditions improved, they're saying that our expectations have declined because of the softening of their short-term outlook regarding jobs and financial prospects. So even though the economy is going gangbusters, we the people don't see signs of growth. We don't think that we're going to make more as far as salaries are concerned, things of that nature. So we're softening up a little bit on what we're planning on doing with spending. Consumer outlook on the job market is also soured slightly because people are expecting fewer jobs and also lower incomes. But then on the business side, it looks like consumers think that we're going to have a positive outlook from business conditions overall as a whole. Now, this is amazing. Last week, a bipartisan act actually got signed by our president. That is not going to be happening often, but they signed into law the Secure Act. And Secure Act stands for Setting Every Community Up for Retirement Enhancement. And this bill, I'm going to be doing a segment on the show about it in the future, but what it's geared up to do is to make sure that people that work at companies that don't offer retirement plans like 401ks and things like that will have that accessible to them. So whether you work for a company that offers a 401k or does not, you'll be able to have a retirement plan. The other thing that's happening with the Secure Act is required minimum distributions, which is something that you have to pull out, monies that you have to pull out of your retirement accounts, your IRAs or your 401ks once you turn 70 and a half. Well, guess what, people? That age has been increased to 72. That's right. Thank you, government, for giving us another year and a half to pull that money out. Now, if you did turn 70 and a half in 2019, you still have to pull out the money. You still have to go by the old laws. The thing that is going to hurt us is going to be stretch IRAs. Those are gone. And if you have questions about that, just go ahead and call my office. But like I said, I will be talking about this a little bit more. The other thing that's happening in the news is Amazon is going to be firing any employee that criticizes them having to do with climate change and things like that. And this is something that we all need to be thinking about. First Amendment rights do not come into place when you work for a private employer. So if you want to protest against things that your company is doing, start in the inside, or why don't you just write a little letter to a journalist and let them do an expose. But be careful. If you talk about your company, your First Amendment rights, they have the right to fire you just like you have the right to say what you want to say. So keep that in mind before you go out and do something that you can't afford to do. So be very careful with that. And then lastly, I did speak about gas prices. And as stuff continues to happen with us and Iran and Iraq, the S&P, we started the week off like with a boom. All the markets were up. We were hitting all-time highs, et cetera, et cetera. But after we did that airstrike, the S&P 500 was down, NASDAQ was down, the Dow Jones average was down, and even the 10-year Treasury yield fell by about 7 basis points. We're going to have to start planning for higher gas prices in our budgets. Crude oil prices are going to be going up. So if you work for a company that is impacted by the gasoline prices, talking about travel, hospitality, food services, things of that nature, be prepared and make sure that you are bundling up for a tighter budget because of the gas prices and our possible war with Iran or Iraq. When we come back on Financial Renaissance with the M's, we're going to be talking about some debt crushing strategies and my M&O's money. All right, so before the break, I had discussed how I think that January is one of the worst times for financial resolutions, and here's why. So coming off of the holiday season, there's a lot of stuff that goes on in the month of December. And December is one of those months depending on where you are in the world or where you are in the country, if you're in the northern hemisphere or in the southern, in the northern states, it gets darker a lot faster. So December is one of those months where we have the least amount of sunlight. And when we have the least amount of sunlight, we're not always feeling our best. We kind of want to be at home. We're not as innovative. We're not really thinking about doing new things. We're just thinking about kind of hunkering down. So on top of the weather, the sunlight, amount of sunlight that we get, and then coming off the holidays and the amounts of monies that we're spending, January isn't always the best time to start New Year's resolutions money-wise. Like, go ahead and do whatever you want to do when it comes to working out, diet, blah, 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 have at it, kill it. But the reality is, in January, you should just update your budget. There's certain things that you're supposed to do in the month of January, like increase your 401ks. That should be happening automatically at your job. But if it's not, it should automatically increase by about 1%. If it's not, increase it by the amount that you got a raise. So if you got a 3% raise, go ahead and bump up your 401k to 3% unless you're already maxing it out. If you are maxing it out, then you need to call me. You need to be putting that money in another place to make sure that you're still keeping up with the amount of money that you're supposed to be saving for retirement. Now, in addition to January being bad from that standpoint, you also have to think about when you're doing stuff from a financial standpoint, you don't have all the numbers that you need come January. So we're just 5 days into the new year. Sometimes some of the stuff, let's say we returned a bunch of stuff. Sometimes, when you return stuff during the holidays, it may not show up back into your account for maybe 1 day to 3 days to 5 days, depending on the store, et cetera. So you still may not have all the numbers from December for you to kind of prepare for the new year. So if you're looking at doing a budget, right, go ahead and start with October, November, and December. Average those. Look at that and do your budget, because those are the 3 most expensive months typically of the year, and go with that as a template for now. But then come March, April, we'll go back and then we'll kind of fine tune things kind of after tax season, things of that nature. But for right now, let's talk about some debt crushing strategies, some things that you can do to pay off debt. Now, I know when you're thinking about paying off debt, there's a lot of ways to pay it down. There's 2 different types. There's what they call a snowball or an avalanche. And the snowball is the one where you just kind of pick this one with the debt that you have. Let's say we're talking about credit card debt with the smallest balance. You don't think about interest rates. You just go after that smallest balance because you need that win faster. And so you have to think about you as a person. Are you a person that, you need that win, that immediate gratification in order to do things right? Then if that's the case, snowballing is definitely going to be for you. Now, the avalanche one is where you go after the debt that you have with the highest interest rate, and then you start paying stuff down. It may take a little while for you to get that first win, but again, it depends on your personality. Now, there's also a combo of the snowball and the avalanche. We're going to call that the blizzard, and that's doing a combination. Maybe you do snowball for the first credit card that you have. Let's say you've got a $500 balance. Pay that one off fast so you get that first win, and then go after something with the next highest interest rate. Just do things like that. And then for the most part, you really want to just make things personal for you. You've got to figure out a strategy that's going to work for you. And if you just type in, use Google, go type in, debt reduction calculators, things of that nature, and you'll be able to come up with something that makes the most sense for you. Make it personal, make it personal. And then the other thing, the very important thing that you're going to want to do is talk to your friends and family, right? The reason why you want to talk to your friends and family about it, and now the beginning of the year is the best time, is to just say, hey, I'm looking at paying debt down. We all know that a recession may be coming. It may be this year, maybe next year, but we know that it's coming at some point, and we want to be able to take advantage of any financial opportunities that are out there. In order to do that, you have to pay debt down. So tell your friends and family, hey, I'm focusing on paying down debt this year. Why do you have to tell friends and family? So that when you say, no, I can't go hang out and go have drinks after work, or, I can't go on this trip, or when people try to borrow money from you, which I highly advise against unless you're charging them interest. But if people try to borrow money from you, you can let them know, I can't. I've been throwing all my money towards paying down my debts, right? And so one of the things that I want you to also do is don't take all of the extra money that you have and put it towards debt, right? I know there's some people that, they have a debt diet, like take all the money, extra money you have and put it on the debt. That doesn't make sense to me, because what if there's an emergency, right? So if you take all your extra money and you put it towards credit cards, and then you have an emergency, what are you going to do? If you don't have money in savings, you're going to go back after that credit card and you're going to use it. So you still have to do a combination of the two, and you have to figure it out with yourself, or you can call my office, 404-633-9952, Greenwood Wealth Management, and you can ask us to help you just kind of set things up so that you're paying off the right amount of debt, still saving for retirement, and you're saving for an emergency or an opportunity. So you have to, do a combination of all of those things. All right. So one thing that we're now in 2020, and one thing that you need to be careful of is abbreviating the year 20, right? So usually if it's 2019, we'll write the date. Today is 1/5/20. Do not do that. And the reason being is if you're doing that on checks and you just write 1/5/20, and that check is sitting around somewhere, next year they'll be able to write in next to the 20, they'll be able to write in the year 21, 22, 23, and so on. So you want to be careful. Do not abbreviate the 20 on the dates when you're writing it, because it may come back next year or in following years, come back to bite you. When we come back on Financial Renaissance with the M's, we're talking about budget busters and then what you need to be doing if you're planning on retiring this year. And we are back with Financial Renaissance with the M's. Thank you, knowledge seekers, for tuning in. And thank you to the following Facebook groups: Black Business Owners Connected, Black Business Owners of Atlanta, and Black Women Business Owners, and the Urban Entrepreneur Facebook group. Thank you for tuning in this morning. Listen, if you want to follow me during the week, I can on social media. You can find me at Twitter at Financial Ren, at Emma Knows Money, and then also on Facebook and IG at Emma Knows Money and Financial Renaissance. And then on YouTube, you can do a search for Emma Knows Money and go ahead and click that subscribe button. All right, this segment of Emma Knows Money is brought to you by Greenwood Wealth Management, making Wall Street work harder for you. And while we're talking about Wall Street and working harder for you, let's talk about not working hard. Let's talk about retirement. All right, if you are planning on retiring this year, these are some of the things that you need to do. Number one, you need to test drive your budget. So if you're planning on retiring, when you're working, you have a budget and you just kind of live like you've been normally living. But if you're planning on retiring at the end of this year or next year, you need to start living on a fixed budget, meaning that you have to have your retirement budget already. It's set up, which is not going to be the same as the budget you had when you were working, and you have to practice living on it. And here's why. Most people blow up their retirement in about the first or second year, because it's very difficult to go from being able to spend and do what you want to do while you're working to having to taper that down. Okay. So if we end up being in a down year and you're not working with a certified financial planner, you don't want to kill your retirement because you made some mistakes in that first year. So some of the things you want to do again is it's kind of a dress rehearsal. You want to pretend that you are retired and live off that budget. That will also give your family members the also getting them in the mindset that you may or may not be able to do certain things. And then you want to look at consolidating. If you've got a bunch of IRAs and a bunch of old 401ks and things like that, you want to talk to a certified financial planner because the rules are different for having an IRA from having a 401k and keeping the money in there when it comes to taking out required minimum distribution. So you want to look at lowering some costs, you want to look for some consolidation, and you definitely want to have some clarity there. And then you want to get all of your appointments out of the gate. So if you're still employed, you want to go ahead and go to the dentist. Definitely go to the dentist because Medicare does not cover dental and vision. That's right. So when you see old people walking around and they have teeth missing and things like that, it's because our current Medicare system does not cover dental and or vision. So go ahead and knock that out. And then if you're looking at wanting to work part-time, you want to find something that's going to necessarily like kind of be in your lane. So if you are a consultant or a contractor, look for some stuff that you can do kind of in the same vein. The reason why I recommend people do this when they first start out in retirement, you're going to have that honeymoon period where you're so happy that you don't have to do anything every day. And that lasts about somewhere for 6 months for some people. It may last a year for others, but then after that, you're going to struggle with your identity. Most of us, all the relationships that we have, the friends that we have, a lot of those things come from the office. And so when you're not going into the office anymore, then what happens? The other thing that you can look at doing, and you may want to start doing it now, is volunteer. That way you have something to do once you retire. But again, make sure that you're checking in with HR so that you know all the rules of retirement, if you're eligible for a pension, things like that. And then your job may want you to stick around or come back as a consultant. And that is, oh my gosh, then you can consult from anywhere. You don't even have to come in the office every single day. So you want to check with healthcare, find out if you're under 65. You want to check with your job if you do retire, whether or not you'll be eligible for COBRA, how much that is going to be. For some of you, you may have to get a job to help pay for COBRA. And then if you have a pension, if you're due one, you want to find out all of the choices that you have available to you way before it's time for you to look at making those choices. So for those of you that maybe have a pension eligible, you want to find out, is it 100% for just me? Will it be rights of survivorship, like if you pass away, will your spouse still get that same amount in retirement? If not, you want to know what the differences are. They have a joint with survivorship, 100%, 50%, 75%. You want to know what all of that is. And then from your retirement savings plan, you definitely want to speak with a certified financial planner to figure out what is going to be the best way for your retirement income distribution strategies. You don't just start taking monies out of all of your accounts willy-nilly. There has to be a tax sensitive strategy to pulling money out. And then insurance. Make sure that you're aware of all the insurances that you have at work. And do you still need those to carry over into retirement? Okay. And then it's time to check in with Social Security. If you're looking at starting your Social Security, if you're under your normal or your full retirement age, you have to find out what's going to happen if you pull your Social Security early, or do you need to wait till you're 66 or 67? Or for some of you, if you don't need the money, do you want to wait until you're 70 years old? So those are just some of the things that you want to look at doing. Then, if you want to downsize, you may want to start fixing your house up, okay? If you're looking at downsizing, you have to do a lot of research on this, because I'm finding now that a lot of people that want to downsize are not in a position to downsize. So check in the area, call a realtor, find out if homes of your size are actually moving. Can you get them, can you get it sold? And if you can, do you want to wait till you're retired, or do you want to do it now while you're still working so that you can buy something else? So you want to look at doing things like bathroom renovations. You may want to look at replacing doorknobs. You may want to look at replacing your stair entrance. If you're going to stay in your house and you're thinking about staying there for the long haul, what about one of those chairlift thingies that go on your staircase? I think they move like 1 mile an hour, but you may want to look at that, or wider doorways. That could be about $700, chairlifts, and then lowering kitchen appliances, cabinets, things like that. Like if you want to make your home ready for you for the long term, there's certain things that you may want to do to it. So some other unexpected surprises that could happen during retirement that you should brace yourself for is going to be major home repairs and upgrades. That's usually 28% of people find that to be a setback, okay, when there are unexpected upgrades and repairs. And then dental expenses, 24% of people surveyed said that they got caught flat-footed because they didn't understand how much it was going to cost for new teeth and bridges and things like that. So you definitely want to pay attention to things that could set you back, like family emergencies, illnesses, prescriptions, eyeglasses, things of that nature. All right. If you have any questions, again, feel free to just drop your question in the comment section, and we'll go ahead and answer that for you. When we come back on Financial Renaissance with the M's, we're talking about budget busters and things that you can do if you're 5 years out from retirement as well. And we are back with Financial Renaissance with the M's. All right. Hey, listen, the information that I'm giving you today on the show, it has to do with starting the new year off right financially, right? Every year, every new year, it's like a new beginning, right? It's a new birth. It's a new chance to start over. But with money, I don't want you making resolutions. What I want you to do is it's time to audit and just tighten up your budgets, tighten up your wallet, tighten up your expectations of what you're going to be doing with money. Money is seeds, right? You plant seeds and it grows and it harvests. And that's what we all want. We want that bountiful harvest so that we can buy another business, so that we can buy another property, so that we can retire at some point in our lives, right? So that's what these tips are about. So coming up, we are talking right now about the budgets and what you need to do for your budget so that you don't bust it up, right? So right now, there were 2,000 people surveyed, and based on the survey, it looks like consumers are overspending each year by almost $7,500. Think about that. That's a lot of money. What could you do with an extra $7,500? A whole lot if you weren't wasting it on other things. So 74% of the 2,000 people said that they actually have a budget. 80% of them don't follow it. So it doesn't make sense. If you have a budget, that's great. But if you're not tracking it, it's not going to do you any good. So here are some of the things that messes up people's weekly budgets. Number one is online shopping. The Amazon, the whatever it is. I'm not a shopper, so I have no idea what people go to do shopping online. Grocery shopping, subscription services. So this is another one. Go through your phones, look at what comes in the mail. If you've got a bunch of magazines that are stacking up, stop it. If you have a bunch of subscriptions on your phone that you're not really utilizing, whether it's on your tablet, your phone, go ahead and cut that. Technology products. Again, if you don't need something new and improved for work related, do what you need first, what you want second. So in the beginning of the year, focus on what you need, but cut out any technology products that you don't need. Buying lunch every day. If you are not, swimming in cash, then you should be brown bagging it. You should be bringing your lunch. We bought our son an Instapot for Christmas so that he can start making lunch. He can make lunch and dinner all in one and save some money. Household essentials. There are things, if you walk into TJ Maxx or Home Goods or Target, I call those $100 stores. You see something that doesn't cost a lot of money and you buy it here, you buy it there, before you know it. If you add all that stuff up through the course of the year, you spend a couple of $1,000. So if you don't need it, don't buy it. Coffee is also a budget buster, but I also look at that as a way of staying awake. So I'm a little torn on that one. Food delivery, which I can definitely see with the Uber Eats, the Yelp, what are the things? Grubhub, all those food services places. It's easier if you just throw something in your Instapot. I think it's a half hour to hour, throw a bunch of stuff in there, walk away, come back, and you've got food. Gym memberships. A lot of you are going to be signing up for new gym memberships this month, and I tell you, don't do it. The gyms are the most crowded in the beginning of the year. About 20 days from now, it'll be empty again. So there may be, deals and discounts and things like that. But if you're not using your gym membership, let it go. And then entertainment, save those dollars. If you don't need to go see a movie, concert, things like that, save that money and use that to pay down debt. But don't let a concert or a movie bust your budget. When we come back on Financial Renaissance with the M's, we will have my New Year tax updates. All right, we are back with Financial Renaissance with the M's. It is the beginning first show of the year, and I am so excited. We got a lot of good stuff that we're going over today. Coming up on the show, we're going to have my By the Numbers, a New Year tax updates, and just kind of getting into what you have to do if you're 10 years out from retirement, 5 years out from retirement, and then I may, if we have time, touch on what to do if you are 3 months away from retiring. But first, I'm going to jump back into the Secure Act because I got some questions about that. So the Secure Act is more than just a simple, hey, hope you can save more. What the Secure Act has done, it's opened up things for small business owners because business owners typically don't have the same retirement plans, same availability as everyone else. It's very expensive for small business owners to even set up a retirement plan. But here's what the Secure Act is doing. One, it is allowing employees, it is allowing retirement plans to have annuities in them. And an annuity is really just a pension, okay? So it is going to also take the onus of being a fiduciary away from the business owner and putting it onto the insurance company. But what I will say to you about this is there's an upside to it and there's a downside to it. If you do not understand annuities, call and talk to a financial planner, a certified financial planner. You can go to letsmakeaplan.org if you're in the United States. If you're in other countries, you'll have to Google that on your end. And then the required minimum distribution age has gone up from 70 and a half to 72. So you will not have to, by law, pull money out of your IRA or 401k until age 72. No more stretch IRAs. And a stretch IRA is if you pass away and you leave your IRA or your 401k to your spouse, it automatically goes to them. They don't have to take the money out until they retire. But if the money is left to a non-spouse, like a child, a friend, a niece, a nephew, a godchild, things like that, the old rules, they used to either have to take it out immediately over a 5-year period, or they could stretch it out over the course of their lives. Well, that is gone now. If you inherit an IRA or a 401k from someone who is not your spouse, you will now have 10 years to take that money out. And that's going to be kind of a tax thing depending on how much you're inheriting. So you're definitely going to want to make sure you're speaking to a CPA and a certified financial planner so that you understand the best strategies for pulling that money out for you. The multiple employer plans for small businesses. So if you're a small business owner and you want to set up a retirement plan for your employees, you can now join forces with other small businesses, and they don't have to be in the same in the same industry. So I'm a certified financial planner. If I wanted to start a retirement plan for my people with a construction company, I can now go ahead and do that. They're calling it multiple employer plans for small businesses. So I really, really like that. They've also dropped the threshold for eligibility for retirement plans. So before you had to, be a full-time employee and work 1,000 hours. Well, they've dropped it now. You don't have to be full-time, but you either have to have 1 full year with 1,000 hours worked, or 3 consecutive years with at least 500 hours worked each of those years in order to be eligible for employer retirement plans now. And then the government is giving tax credits for employers that automatically enroll workers into their retirement plans. So since they started the automatic enrollment years ago, Americans have saved almost $30 billion in retirement plans because of the auto enrollment. And I think that's great. Another thing that's going to be happening for smaller employers is a tax credit. The government is going to give you a tax credit to offset the startup costs for starting a 401k plan or a simple IRA. And starting a 401k plan for a small company can cost you about $1,500. Okay. Also remember that it may cost you $1,500 to close that plan down. So remember that if you're starting a plan, make sure that you're going to keep having employees there for a while, or you're going to be working and contributing to it. So it just that money just doesn't go away. So those are just some of the things that are happening with the Secure Act. So if you have other questions, you can Google it. You can go on the government's website, etc. All right. So the government is saying, this is the National Center for Health Statistics. They're saying that our nation's general fertility rate, which is defined as the number of births per 1,000 women between the ages of 15 and 44, was just 59 births in 2018. So that is a low. That is the low in for the last 110 years. So here's what I have to say about that. There's a lot of people who are pro-life, pro-choice, blah, blah, blah. And, the people that are pro-life don't want women having abortions, et cetera, et cetera. But what I have to say about that is if you want to see more newborns, start paying people higher wages. When communities are making more money, they're okay with having more children. So in order for our country to continue to compete, we're going to have more kids. In order to have more kids, you have to have some more money. All right, China. The United States did something fantabulous last year because of the trade war that we were having with China. U.S. manufacturers have moved some of their supply chains away from China and went to Taiwan, South Korea. In Taiwan, it's up 22%, the amount of manufacturing we're doing with them. Also, India, the amount of manufacturing that we moved over to India is up 12%. And South Korea, the number of manufacturing stuff that we moved over to South Korea is also up 12%. So again, we're in a trade war, but we'll learn how to shift. Anytime you're presented with a new amount of challenges, you may have to find a new way to go about doing things. So if you're into manufacturing, if you're into importing stuff from other countries, you may want to look at Taiwan, India, and South Korea. All right, we are almost even now with China. So the United States has 121 companies in the Fortune Global 500 rankings, okay? And China has 119 companies in the Fortune Global 500 rankings. Now, 20 years ago, back in like 1999 or early 2000, the United States had 181 companies and China only had 5, okay? So China, in the last 20 years, China has caught up with us, and it's looking like they may actually surpass us within the next 20 years. So we have to start making some changes drastically and dramatically now. There's a lot going on in the country, but we have to come together and figure out, how do we increase wages for our workers? How do we do something about medical costs, and making sure that people get enough time off? Because with that combination of those three things, if you're overworking, you're not getting enough time off, you're not getting paid enough, it's a recipe for disaster. And that's kind of where we are right now. A lot of people are burnt out. All right. If you are, let's see, 3 months away from retiring, here are some of the things that you are going to want to do. Again, just like the 1 year out, you're going to want to polish your elevator speech. Just in case you need a part-time job, you want to be able to tell people, what it is that you have done. If you're looking for a job and you've been working on the same job for a long time, it's kind of like dating. If you were in a long-term relationship or married and then you break up and get divorced, getting back into the dating world is a little awkward and weird because, you don't know what to say, et cetera, et cetera. It's the same thing when it comes to interviewing for jobs, right? Even if it's a part-time job. So you want to get your elevator speech ready so that you can tell people what it is that you're good at, what it is that you want to do, and just what is it that you aspire to do while you're retired. All right. Coming up on Financial Renaissance with the M's, we have your New Year tax updates, as well as what's happening with my market movers and losers. We are back with Financial Renaissance with the M's, and you are watching us live on Facebook at Sensation Station Network or Facebook.com/NotDumbDown. You can also listen to us at SSNATL.com or SensationStationNetwork.com. You can also listen to us on the app called TuneIn. You can just type in Sensation Station Network and you can continue listening to the show while you're on your way to brunch or on your way to church. And if you have any questions, you can always text us at 678-613-5857 to join the resistance, or the Renaissance, excuse me. No resisting. All right. So on today's show, I am talking about the countdown to retirement, right? So if you are 5 years out from retiring, here's some things that you need to ask yourself. I'm from New York, so we say ask, right? Ask yourself. So the things that you want to do is make sure that you're attacking your debt, because your income is higher now than it's going to be when you retire, right? Unless you get an inheritance. But even still, you want to make sure that you get to keep all of that. So you got to tighten that budget up. So pay down as much debt as you possibly can. And if at all possible, set up payment schedules for stuff so that you can see when things are going to be paid off. And that goes with that whole snowballing or avalanching with your debt. You want to make sure that you know when one thing gets paid off, that what you were paying towards, bill number one now goes towards bill number two. So then if you're 5 years out from retiring, you have to create a written budget. Okay, there's no ands, if, or buts about it. A business cannot run without a budget. Okay, so your household cannot run without a budget if you want it to be successful. If you don't, continue doing things the way that you're doing. No harm, no foul to us. And then you want to write your goals. Okay, this is a big one. My family, we do it every year, although we're a little behind. You want to write your goals down. And I don't mean typing it into your little phones or your tablets or whatever. You want to write it down. If you write things down, it gets wired into your cabeza. And then face up to it. Take your goals that you have and put it in places where you can see it, okay? There was that show, what was it, Being Mary Jane? Where Being Mary Jane had these little Post-it notes everywhere, all over her house. Now, granted, she was a single woman. There weren't kids to rip it down or a husband to go, or wife to say, please stop cluttering the bathroom with all these Post-it notes. But you want to have your goals someplace where you can see it. So whether it pops up on your computer, when you turn your computer on every morning, or when it's in your closet. I keep my goals on my bathroom mirror, taped onto my bathroom mirror, so that, when I'm in the shower, or when I come out of the shower and I'm fixing my hair, doing my face, the whole nine, I'm looking at what my goals are. So you definitely want to write the goals down. Then you also want to think about home improvements, because again, you may be thinking about moving. If you are in a city and you don't like the city anymore, you have to start thinking about selling that house and going someplace else. So look at doing some cheap home improvements, like repainting your cabinets, doing a mini bathroom makeover. So that could be things like the little fixtures to turn the hot water off and on. You may want to update that. The light fixtures may be from 20 years ago. You may want to spruce that up as well. And then get a fresh landscaping. Now, getting a fresh landscaping, if you have a green thumb and you're handy, go on out there and do it yourself. But if not, save some money. Start interviewing some landscaping companies and find out what it's going to cost to spruce up your outside. And then if you have a red door, paint it black. People are saying that red doors, it's hard to sell houses with red doors. Don't know why, but go ahead and paint it something eye-catching. Actually, what I'm seeing is that homes with black or charcoal gray front doors sell for $6,200 more than the average house without those colors, okay? And then 5 years out, figure out how not to get fired. Okay, so I spoke earlier about Amazon and people protesting and speaking negatively about your company to the media. Don't do that. And don't do anything that's going to get yourself fired. Excuse me. And then look at mapping out the power structure of all the people that can actually help you continue to stay at your job, right? Or or help you move up at your job, and just keep learning, mix up generations, and first and foremost is be open to change. All right, this coming Wednesday, I want you to go to Sensation Station Network or ssnatl.com. I want you to listen to our new ITL Live podcast. Click on the iHeartRadio banner, and that new episode should be there on Wednesday. And you can hear me talking about some additional tips, things that you can do for the year of 2020. And we are back with Financial Renaissance with the M's. I am your host, certified planner, folks, by day. And on the nights and the weekends, I'm the defender of the middle class, the lower 99% of the country that's trying to figure out what the heck do we do with our money, and how come those people get to live in those super big houses that are like 27,000 square feet. What did they do differently than we are? So I have a question. A question came in from a viewer. What is the best plan to repair credit? That's a great question. Best plan is to start with the basics. You're going to want to pull all of your credit reports. Okay, you can get them for free, but you want to pull all of your credit reports, look at everything that you have. And the best way to repair credit, I know that there are credit repair companies and things like that. I'm not familiar with them, so I don't know if they work. I do know that if you're dealing with the, 3 credit bureaus, Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion, sometimes you yourself directly have to speak with them. So what I would do is look at if your credit is not where it needs to be, go ahead and come up with a strategy of taking care of that credit. So if you have a debt that has been sold to a debt collector, you need to do the research to figure out whether or not it makes sense to pay them or to pay the company that you owed money to. By the time it goes to a debt collector, that debt has already been taken care of. It's going to be on your credit. So I would go ahead and Google that. But if you do have bad credit, you want to go ahead and start saving money, start paying down some of that debt, and come up with an effective strategy. So you can definitely call my office so that we can talk about this a little bit more at 404-633-9952. All right. The last segment, I was talking about things to do if you're 5 years away from retirement, but here are 5 things not to do if you're about 5 years away from retirement. And these are 7 deadly splurges. Okay. Number 1 is buying a luxury automobile. Now, you may say to yourself, well, I want this car now while I'm still working. But if you are not 100% on track for retiring, you should not be buying a brand new luxury vehicle. Your kid's dream wedding. That could cost about $33,000. If you are not on track for retirement, give them a third of that and give them that as a down payment for a house as opposed to paying for a wedding. A statement watch like a Rolex, Patek Philippe, whatever those nice watches are, that could cost you about $7,500. Just get a $250 or $500 iPhone watch. Designer clothes can cost you, especially really nice suits can be anywhere from $2,000 to $5,000. And then doing those ultimate vacations with the kids and everybody else can run you about $25,000. So be careful of those big splurges, vacations, round trip, first class tickets, and really big toys like boats. Okay. The best type of boat to have is one that your friend owns. That way you don't have to pay for insurance, gas, and maintenance and things like that. Good morning to my people in St. Pete and Tampa. We will be down there to be on that boat this summer, won't we? All right. So in Illinois, on January 1st, legal recreational marijuana went on sale. And in their first day, legal pot sales in the state of Illinois reached $3.2 million. Can I get a hand clap for that? Yes, I am so. Illinois is the 6th most populous state in the United States of America, and it's surrounded by a bunch of states where marijuana isn't legal. So guess what's going to happen? All those people surrounding Illinois are going to be jumping into Illinois to buy weed and then popping back. So congratulations to Illinois for that. They had 77,000 transactions on their first day. That is absolutely amazing. All right. There's a social media app called TikTok. Okay. I've never been on it, but TikTok, I believe, is owned by a Chinese company, and the United States military has banned all service members from using TikTok. So that should tell you that maybe you yourself shouldn't be using it. Definitely, if you are a family member of, so immediate family member of someone in the military, you need to talk to your kids, and you yourself may need to not use TikTok, because we have to take care of our servicemen and women that are overseas, and we want to make sure that we keep them out of harm's way. So stay off of the app TikTok. This was something that actually warmed my heart. The company Segway, and my family, we love Segways. I don't know why we don't just buy them, but we love doing Segway tours, and we'll do the same tour over and over again because we just like being on the vehicles. It's a safe way for us to be out in the wind and not get hurt. So Segway is coming out with these egg-shaped Segways that look like something futuristic. So if you're in an amusement park, if you want to do tours, you just get to kind of sit down and control it by this little joystick thing. I think it's going to be absolutely amazing. So Segway has finally come out with another vehicle that I'm looking forward to trying out. And they also came out with some scooters as well that are self-driving. So Segway has done a great job with the vehicles they have. So shouts out to them. So if you like the show Financial Renaissance with the M's and you want to take it with you during the week, you can go ahead and the show becomes a podcast. You can go ahead and go on Podbean, iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, subscribe to the show, and also give us a five-star rating would be greatly appreciated. When we come back on Financial Renaissance with the M's, my market movers and losers and New Year's tax tips for you. And we're back with Financial Renaissance with the M's. It is now time for my market movers and losers. All right, let's see what was going on. The S&P 500, the Dow Jones Industrial Average, as well as NASDAQ, all finished down. The 10-year Treasury, 2-year Treasury, all finished down. And again, that has to do with what happened with us bombing that guy over in Iraq. Sneakerhead stocks, Nike finished down for the week, but Adidas, Pumas, Under Armour, Skechers, and Foot Locker all finished the week up. Cannabis stocks, bloodbath, but it's to be expected. And then from a gaming stock standpoint, Microsoft, EA, Zynga, Zynga finished up. Microsoft and EA finished down. Activision also finished up. And then from a luxury brands, we know what's happening between Tiffany and Louis Vuitton Moet. They're looking at buying them, so we'll see what goes on in there. But as far as the markets is concerned, it is blood in the streets. It is all red. All right. So here's something. Nike they beat their earnings for fourth quarter last year. Because of the trade war, we expected to see a lot of the sneaker companies' stock prices go down, but Nike actually beat their expectations, and the Jordan brand hit $1 billion for the first time ever in a quarter. Can I get that hand clap now? Yes. Yay, Michael Jordan. Yay, Jordans. All right. Let me know when you have that clap and I'll do it, man. All right, so then moving on to Adidas. Beyonce and Adidas have a joint venture, and Adidas is going to start selling, starting on January 18th, they're relaunching Ivy Park, the Ivy Park brand. And what's going to end up happening, it's going to include shoes, clothing, accessories that are going to be in the theme colors are going to be maroon, orange, and cream. Not sure how I feel about that, but I think it'll probably look pretty fly with my skin tones, but we'll have to see. And remember, again, that Adidas and Pumas, those two companies were started by two brothers who were feuding against each other. And just a little tidbit, Jay-Z has a stake in Puma. Rihanna's, doing stuff with Puma, blah, blah, blah. That's all because of Jay-Z. So that's a nice thing with keeping it in the family between Beyonce and Jay-Z with Adidas and Pumas. I think that's kind of cute. Now, if you're looking for seasonal work, Lowe's, that's right, the home improvement company, Lowe's companies said this past Thursday that they're going to hire about 53,000 employees this spring. The springtime is the busiest season of the year for home improvement stores. So they're going to be hiring new people for more than 1,700 stores across the United States. So it's going to be kind of a walk-in. It's going to be their first walk-in hiring event starting January 8th. That's next week at stores where spring typically arrives earlier than other places. And then, we're looking at Florida, Southern California, Hawaii, some of Arizona, Utah, Nevada next. Texas, Alabama, and Georgia. And then the remaining regions, they'll start their hiring events on January 15th, February 5th, February 19th, and March 4th. So again, remember, if you're looking at ways of paying down debt, you can get another job, get a part-time job to help you pay down some of that debt that you have, or get a part-time job to stack your chips so that when the recession finally does come, you have extra money to take advantage of opportunities. And we're talking about buying properties, apartment buildings, businesses. There are tons, and I'll be talking about that this year. There are tons of baby boomers with businesses that are going to be retiring this year. You got to have some capital. You may be able to borrow money from banks, but you have to have some capital, your own money. You have to put your skin in the game in order for the banks to feel comfortable about doing something with you. Can I get that hand clap for Beyonce or for Nike now? Yeah, thank you. Michael Jordan's company, the Jordan brand, hit $1 billion for the fourth quarter of 2019, and it is the first time they hit that mark, even with all of the strife of the trade war. When we come back on Financial Renaissance with the M's, I am going to give you my New Year tax updates. And we are back with Financial Renaissance with the M's. That's right. We are starting the new year off right. We're not making any financial resolutions, right? No financial resolutions whatsoever. All we're doing is auditing what happened in December. We're getting ready for tax season. And then come March or April, or after you file your taxes, after your tax return has been filed, then we look at readjusting the budget, okay? You may already know things that you want to scale back on, but that's something that you're going to, talk over with your financial planner and also with your CPA. But speaking of CPAs and taxes, let's talk about the new 2020 tax updates. All right. So if you are a single person, so in the 2017 Tax Act, they didn't really take away your ability to itemize. They just made the hurdle a lot higher. So they increased our standard deduction for a single person for 2020. Your new standard deduction hurdle is $12,400. If you are a married filing joint, your new standard deduction is $24,800. So if you have more than 24, let's just call it $25,000 in itemized expenses, once you hit above that amount, then everything else you'll also be able to deduct. Workplace savings have gone up. So if you're an employee, your contribution limit for 401ks, 403bs, and most 457 plans has gone up $500, and it is now $19,500 that you can put away into your retirement account if you are under the age of 50. If you are over the age of 50, you can add an additional $6,500. Okay, last year it was $6,000. This year it's now $6,500. So they've added another $500. Unfortunately, lo siento. Let me repeat this. Your traditional or Roth IRA, there is not an increase for those for the year of 2020. So those are holding steady at $6,000. And then if you're over 50, you can put in an additional $1,000. That has not changed at all. All right. Now, caveat with that, if you are a high income earner making contributions to your Roth IRA, you may not be able to. So for 2020, if you are single and your adjusted gross income exceeds $124,000, and if you're married and your adjusted gross income exceeds $196,000, you will not be able to make a full contribution into a Roth IRA. So this is where you need to speak to your certified financial planner or your CPA, or see if you may be able to put money into a Roth 401k that's offered by your job, or discuss backdoor Roth 401k strategies with your financial professional team. Now, health savings accounts. HSA, first of all, is not the same thing as flex spending, Okay. Flex spending is that account that, you have to use it or lose it, and usually have till March or February of the next year. Well, a HSA, health savings account, is if you have a high deductible healthcare plan, you can put money into these plans, but you don't have to take the money out. So for the year 2020, as an individual, you can save now $3,550. And if you have a family plan, you can now save $7,100 in an HSA. Now, remember, the money that you put in an HSA, if it is sitting there, that money goes in tax-free. Okay. If you don't need the money, it's sitting there, it's in cash. You can actually at some point invest it, but you want to talk to a CPA or a financial professional about that before you do it. When you're retired, and even before you're retired, if you need to take money out for healthcare reasons, you pull that money out tax-free. So let's listen to this again. The money goes into an HSA pre-tax and comes out tax-free. So this is one of these things, like you can start pre-funding your healthcare retirement savings by using an HSA. So I think it's one of the best things that they invented during the last 20 years of our lifetime. The IRS also bumped up the amount that you'll be able to put away into flex savings accounts. $50 more. So you went up from $2,700 in 2019, and it is now $2,750. All right, for those of you with estates, and these are for people who have net worths that are over $12 million, and this is including insurances, because life insurances that you have also gets included into your net worth for estate planning purposes. So before the new tax cut, the 2017 Tax Act, if you had over $5.5 million in your estate, and it was going to someone else, that money would be taxed, right? Anything over that 5.5 million was taxable. Well, for 2020, because of the new tax law, you can now have about 11.58 million if you're an individual. And if you're a couple, that's double. We're looking at about 22, 23, 24-ish $1 million that you can pass down without having to pay any estate taxes, okay? So with that being said, I want you to think about a lot of things, but that tax cut didn't do a whole lot for Main Street, but it did a whole lot for the top 1%. They're not going to pay a lot in taxes, and if they're not paying a lot in estate taxes, the government's going to be coming after other people for that money. So keep your eyes and ears open for that. And then finally, gift exclusions. You can to get money out of your estate, okay, if you have a big estate and you're trying to get money out of it, you can gift $15,000 a year to each person in your family that you want to gift that money to, okay? And there's a strategy that we can talk about offline if you want to call the office of how you pay for your grandkids' tuition without the money actually touching them, and it's a nice strategy that we can look at utilizing. All right, when we come back on Financial Renaissance with the M's, I'm going to tell you, if you are 10 years out from retirement, what you need to be doing to prepare yourself for retirement. We are back with Financial Renaissance with the M's. I hope you are enjoying this beautiful, beautiful Sunday. The sun is shining, the birds are out, and the sun just does something to me. It just makes me smile because it reminds me of the spring and just better weather. Not a cold-natured person. I don't know how I was born in New York. Maybe I've been in the South too long, but yeah. All right. So if you are 10 years away from retirement, here are some of the things that you need to do. One is, just do a quick test. You got to look at where the rubber meets the road. You do need to have a financial plan done to make sure that where you are and what you're currently doing is going to lead you to that end result of what you want. You don't want there to be a disconnect there. So if you're maxing out everything and you're doing everything the way that you're supposed to and you're still not sure, well, how is that going to look when it comes to income and things like that? You do need to get with someone. So you want to do a deeper dive even with your earnings. You want to make sure that you're earning enough because you still have 10 years left. You may be able to find a better paying job, right? And you don't want to do anything crazy. If you're 10 years out and you're not on track, don't do anything risky, because that could really just really derail your retirement. And then you want to save the easiest way. Have things happen from direct deposit. Have things come automatically out of your paycheck, or have things go automatically out of your bank account into a savings to make sure that you are keeping up with it. If you do not have a retirement account, open one. And a retirement account is not your savings or your checking account. That is not it. Saving for retirement involves stocks, bonds, and things that appreciate, okay? Meaning they have a rate of return with them. So you're looking for something that's going to appreciate by 5, 6, 7, 8% on average per year. You also, if you're going to stay in the house that you're in, right? If the house that you have now is a forever home, you can also look at what it will take to pay that mortgage off by the time you're retired. I'm telling you, that does wonders for people. That monthly retirement payment that you're making during retirement can end up being travel money. Okay, imagine your mortgage payment being something that you can use to do whatever you want to do with it. So we want to look at paying down the mortgage, paying down debt with bonuses, with extra money, things of that nature. Then you want to look at, you don't want to get a home equity line for anything, if at all possible. Okay, unless you absolutely positively need it. If you don't need extra cash, don't take it. Don't have money, borrow money just for the sake of borrowing money. And as I said, you want to make sure that your new retirement savings are being put to work in some type of mutual funds and bonds and things like that. But then you also want to be honest with yourself and have a plan B when it comes to work. You know, you want to ask yourself 3 questions. You know, do you work in a stable and growing industry? Do you work for a stable and growing company? And then, is your heart still in it? Are you going to be able to stay where you are right now for the next 10 years? And if that answer is no, you may want to look at job hopping. You may want to look at going into another position. Hopefully it has a little bit more money or less stress, so that you can survive the next 10 years there. You don't have to stay put if you don't want to, but you also want to look at what's going on with the job market. There are several jobs that people currently have today that will not be here 5 to 10 years from now. So you have to pay attention to the trends that are happening in your industry, okay? When we come back on Financial Renaissance with the M's, I'm going to be giving you my mantra and also some more numbers that we need to be paying attention to in this country. And we are back with Financial Renaissance with the M. Listen, I want you to check out our new podcast, ITL Live on SSNATL.com. Go ahead and click on that iHeartRadio banner. I will be on the show this week, Wednesday. I want you to tune in and hear some of my other financial tips. That's right. Great show that we had today. We talked a lot about retirement and the things that you need to do if you're counting down to retirement within the next 10 years, the next 5 years, even the next year. And I mentioned that there are going to be careers that are going to be disappearing over the next 5 to 10 years. That's going to be drivers like Uber, Lyft, things like that. Farmers, postal workers. There's not really going to be a need for postal workers anymore. Traditional broadcasters, jewelers, people that go out and fish, printers, publishers, cashiers, and the list can go. You can Google it. Make sure that you know if the job that you're doing today, if it still has longevity. Will it be here 2 years from now, 5 years from now, or even 10 years from now? Keep your eye on the pulse of how you're making money. All right. Coming up today, we have Smooth Sensational Sunday immediately after my show. And then at 6 o'clock, you can tune in for the live exchange with Dr. Pamela. And then tomorrow, you can have lunch with Cheryl Underwood right here on Sensation Station Network. She's on between noon and 2 p.m. And then my thoughts for the week, my mantra for the week, I hope I can pronounce this right, is Om Durga Ya. Did I say that right? Durga Ya Nama. Okay. And what that means is it has to do with success. We all want success, but you have to let go. We were all raised that when we had problems and things like that, you're supposed to let go and let God. Well, that carries through no matter what religion or what you follow. Okay. It is a philosophy. So let success come to you and let go in all areas of your life, from control, judgment, and even fear. Letting go releases resistance and allows you to center and balance yourself. Surrender to the divine flow of the universe. Where there is an absence of trust is when we put up resistance and we try to exert control over people and the things around us. But this state of resistance is generally going to fail us. Even if it appears to succeed, our approach to life becomes rigid and constricted. So trust is an expanded state of awareness. So what I want you to do this week is experiment with non-resistance. Think that everyone is doing the very best that they can at their own level of consciousness. Try to be judgment free and even give less input. That's right. See if you can handle these things this week. And we will see you on Wednesday on the ITL Live podcast. And then you can always go to YouTube, Emma Knows Money, to subscribe and hear the old shows. Today's old show may be there. Or you can go to Sensation Station Network's page and you can watch the rebroadcast of the show as well. And again, if you have comments, questions, if there's topics, if there's something that you want to learn more about, hey, feel free to hit us up. You can do it in the DM. You can do it on our social media pages. Just let us know some topics and subjects that you want to learn more about. Coming up this month, I will be talking about the other America. MLK Day is coming up in a couple of weeks. And I will be talking about the last speech that Martin Luther King Jr. gave. It was an economic speech and why his wife thinks that is the reason why he got killed. So we love you on Financial Renaissance with the M's. Thank you for all of your support, and we will see you next week.
Si desapareció, él ni aparecerá. Creyeron que murió.
Scratch.